In this video, we're going to take a look at getting some practice with mixed fractions and order of operations. So take a moment and copy these 3 questions down. Then pause the video. After you calculate the answer to all 3 questions, then resume watching the video and you can see the full solutions to each problem. So if we take a look here at the first problem, we're going to have to, as we see these mixed fractions, we're going to have to convert these mixed fractions into improper fractions first. So this first fraction, 2 1/4, will be equivalent to, remember we multiply the whole number by the denominator and then we add the numerator. So it's going to be 4 times 2 plus 1 all over 4. We don't have to worry about the 3/8 because it's already an improper fraction, or I guess a fraction. And now we have a 1 1/2, which is going to be the same as 2 times 1 plus 1 all over 2. So in the first fraction here, 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. So we have 9/4 minus 3/8 times 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1 is 3 3/2. And so we've converted to improper fractions, and now we have to do our order of operations from left to right. So we're going to do our multiplication here first. 9/4 minus, and when we multiply fractions, remember we multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom, so we'll get 9/16. And now we just have one subtraction left, but we need to make sure that we have a common denominator before we add or subtract fractions. So we will look here and say that our common denominator is going to be 16 because 16 is divisible by 4. And then remember we need to answer the question 4 times what number will give us 16. And that is our, what we call our magic number. And so here now we multiply by 4 over 4. And now we get 4 times 9, which is 36 over 16, minus 9 over 16. And now we can go ahead and subtract, and that is 36 minus 9 all over 16. And that gives us 27 over 16. And if we convert that to an improper fraction, we know that 16 goes into 27 one time, and we're left with a remainder of 11. And so 27/16 would be the same as 1 whole, and, which means plus, 11/16. So that is the answer to the first practice problem. And taking a look at the second practice problem now, we see we have a multiplication, a division, and an addition. So we're going to have to do this multiplication first and this division first from left to right. So now converting these to improper fractions, 1 3/4 is the same as 4 times 1 is 1 plus 3, 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7/4, and we're going to have times 1/2 plus 2 1/2 is the same as 2 times 2, which is 4 plus 1, or 5/2. And then we're going to divide that by 1 7/8. 1 7/8 converted to an improper fraction is 8 times 1, which is 8 plus 7. So we'll get 15/8. And so now they're improper fractions. As long as we do our order of operations first, we can now go ahead and do the multiplication and the division. So 7/4 times 1/2, multiplying straight across the top and straight across the bottom. 7 times 1 is 7, and 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 5/2, and now times, we change the sign when we're dividing fractions, we change the sign to multiplication, and invert the fraction. And now this works out nicely because, again, at this point it makes a lot of sense to reduce before we go ahead and do our multiplication because our numbers will be smaller. So the 8 and the 2 reduce nicely. 2 goes into 2 once, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. And then 5 goes into 5 once, and into 15 3 times. So we're left here now with 7 eighths plus 4 thirds. When we multiply straight across the top here and straight across the bottom, we get 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 times 3 is 3. Now this is a situation where, because 8 is not divisible by 3, we need to find a common denominator. And when one is not a multiple or one is not divisible by the other, then the method that we've gone over in past videos is to say that our common denominator will just be 3 times 8. We take each denominator and multiply it by the other. So 7 eighths we will multiply by the other denominator, and we still have to make sure that it's a fraction that is equal to 1. So we multiply that one by 3 over 3, and we multiply this one by 8 over 8. And you can see now that gives us 21 24ths plus 32 24ths. And now that will give us 21 plus 32 all over 24. And that'll give us 53 over 24. And now we can see that 24 goes into 53 2 times. 2 times 24 is 48. And then 53 minus 48 is 5. So we get a remainder of 5. And so 53 over 24 is the same as 2 wholes plus 5 over our original denominator, which was 24. So the answer to the second practice problem is 2 and 5 24ths. And this third problem is pretty long, the way it turns out. But when we look here, we've got a bracket and then a division. And so we're going to have to look after our brackets first. I'm going to move through this one a little bit more quickly because it's the last one, or one of the last ones on fractions. But see if you can follow along. So 1 3/4 we're going to change to an improper fraction, which will be 4 times 1, which is 4 plus 3, 7/4, plus 2 over 1, divided by 1 1/2 will be 3/2 as an improper fraction. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, all over 2, plus 5/8. And now we have to get rid of our bracket first, but we realize in that bracket we don't have a common denominator. And because 4 is divisible by 1, we can say that 4 will be our common denominator. So we are going to multiply here then by 4 over 4. And now we will get 7/4 plus 2 times 4 is 8/4 divided by 3/2 plus 5/8. And now we can go ahead and get rid of our brackets because 7/4 plus 8/4 is going to be 15/4. And now we have 15/4 divided by 3/2 plus 5/8. And now we can just go ahead after our brackets are removed here and perform our order of operations. So we're going to do this division first. So that will translate into 15/4 times 2/3. We change the sign to multiplication and we invert the fraction, plus 5/8. And it makes sense to do some reducing here. 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 4 twice, 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes into 15 rather, 5 times. So here we get 5 times 1, which is 5, and 2 times 1 in the denominator, which is 2. So we get 2 plus 5/8. And now we realize we don't have a common denominator, but 8 is divisible by 2, and so our magic number will be 4, because we want to make our common denominator 8. So we will multiply this fraction by 4 over 4, and then that gets us 4 times 5 is 20 eighths plus 5 eighths, and that's going to equal 25 eighths. And 25 eighths as a mixed fraction, 8 goes into 25 3 times. 3 times 8 is 24, and 25 minus 24 is a remainder of 1. So when we change that to an improper fraction, pardon me, a mixed fraction, we get 3 wholes and a remainder of 1/8. So the answer to the last practice problem is 3 1/8.